So let me come back and conclude to what Mending Hearts and Mending Treaties means. Mending Hearts means that this has to become a personal cause of the majority. Here's the challenge that we face. Most Canadians are not First Nations. Most Canadians are not Aboriginal. And so, politically, governments look at this and say, yeah, we'll do what we can. We'll make the right noises. But, you know, there's only so much we can do. And so, it's going to take an amazing effort on the part of a majority of Canadians, of non-Aboriginal Canadians, to say, we got to do the right thing here. It's not about, is it good for, you know, is it going to benefit 67 or 80, 90% of the population? Is it going to, now let me just make one other argument that I think we need to think about. The first argument is that as the frontier of development moves further and further north and west in this country, we're heading deeper and deeper into Indigenous country. And the law has changed through a whole series of phenomena. Supreme Court decisions, political decisions, constitutional decisions, a variety of ways. Period. They will not happen without the full participation and approval and consent of the First Nations. They won't happen. And the second thing is that one of the great transformations that's taken place since the 1950s when it comes to the demography of this country is that the Aboriginal population in Canada is an urban population, increasingly so. Go from one part of the country to another. When I grew up in Ottawa, I never met, I'm not proud to say this, but it's true, I never met an Aboriginal person. As a kid, I never met him. It took a whole series of changes in my own life where that became just changed. It just suddenly changed, and I began to look into it and find out more about it and learn, engage, see. So we all, you know, we've all gone on, I suspect, a similar journey. Today, in Toronto or Ottawa or Brantford, anywhere else, it's an increasing situation where we're living next door, we're sitting with, we're being with. And when that happens, and there's huge conditions of inequality and vast differences in life experience, we can't carry on that way unless we learn how to share with our neighbor. And sharing goes both ways. It goes two ways. As we embrace this new awareness of who we are as Canadians. So, yes, there's a personal journey that has to be taken that is both personal and that is also political, because you're going to be asked, well, do you support Mr. Trudeau or whoever it may be, Premier Wynne or whoever it may be, when he or she says, you know what, it's not just talk, we can't just apologize and say we're sorry and then not change anything, we have to make some changes, and it's not going to be cheap, because we haven't served people well. And mending the treaties means that the great advantage of the treaty relationship is that it is a relationship between peoples, between nations. That's why we call it a treaty. It's the least the Crown could do, was to call them treaties, even if they just said Treaty Number 1. That's an exciting title. Treaty Number 2. And although the Crown has stuck to its very narrow interpretation of what the treaties were all about, the fact is that's not really how we're going to be able to go forward. We can't go forward if we see this as some kind of divorce settlement. We go forward because we see it as a relationship. I loved the comment about how treaty is a verb as well as a noun. It's about building a relationship. And this is a relationship that is personal and political. Because you know what about the treaties? It means we're all treaty people. As Canadians, we are treaty people. We're not lords of the manor who pretended that there was nobody here, or we were, but we can't be that way anymore. We have to forsake that way of thinking, abandon that approach to how we see the world, and recognize that it is based on this simple concept of the dignity of difference and the fact that some might have come here to conquer, some might have come here to convert. But neither of those work in today's world. We come to learn, and we come in friendship. And the real story of Canada, by the way, is who do you think got Champlain and Company through the first winter? You know, when suddenly they said, hey, we're not in Paris anymore. I don't mean Paris on Highway 24, I mean, you know, the other Paris. You know, we have to understand something of the real history of our country. And that is that the first people who came here survived because they shared the land with those who took them on the route. How do you think we developed the fur trade? Because guess what? There already was a fur trade. There was a fur trade long before the Europeans got here. There were people who were trading from the south of Canada to the north of Canada. There were relationships that had been established, yes, by treaty between First Nations about how we're going to get along. And yes, there was commerce. And there were exchanges. There were all those things. And when the Europeans came, they said, hey, let's build on that. And then eventually they said, let's just take it over. So really what we're doing is returning to the very best of what the wisest ones thought about this relationship. And that's why we have to mend hearts, and that's why we have to mend treaties. Thank you very much.